It's a full-time job. But one thing I want to caution everyone of is unethical SEO companies. There are many SEO companies that will promise amazing results with their SEO techniques. Some of them use unethical techniques, and you might actually get blacklisted from some of the search engines. I want to mention this. We're going to have a webinar guest speaker to talk about web analytics soon. You'll find the information on our website, newmedia.org. But why it's important for SEO, I want to talk about right now. It's important for you to know what your traffic is, number one, to show your progress, know where your traffic is coming from, know what your visitors are typing into the search engines to find your site, because you can find that in web analytics, know what content is most popular, know where your visitors are getting stuck, and create goals to know which strategies are converting. Here's an example. You can set up an account with Google. It's free. Set up Google Analytics, and then place one piece of code in your content management software and instantly see all of your web traffic. What's really cool, on the right-hand side, you'll see the map overlay. If you actually click on that when you set up a free account on Google, it's called Google Analytics, you can actually zoom in and see dots on which cities around the world that your site is most popular in and why people are coming to you. Not only that, but you can see what the keywords those people are typing in those individual cities are to find you, which is really, really interesting. It turns out we're extremely popular. Newmedia.org is extremely popular in India, and we had no idea. Okay, and here's a little bit of a zoom in right there. One of the things that you can do, and I just want to mention pay-per-click, we'll have a separate webinar on this, but if you wanted to be, in the sponsored link section and test out a small ad campaign in Google and try paying for some clicks, it's fantastic because there's very little risk. You could set up an ad campaign for us it would be New Media. And every time people type New Media in, we wanted our ad to appear on the right-hand side. If our ad appears 1,000 times, we don't pay a dime, but we pay per click. If people actually click on our ad, okay, and we don't pay for this because we're on the top of the organic search results, but if people actually click on our ad, then we pay. But you can set a budget. You could say, I only want to spend max of 50 cents per click and $10 per day and try it out for a week and then shut it off. You can do that. What's also intelligent is you can set up 3 different ads, right? And you can see that for ad number 1, 100 people are clicking on it. Ad number 2, 50 people are clicking on it. But it turns out ad number 1, which is giving us more people, has less purchases because they give you a piece of code to test with each ad. And you could say your goal is the purchase of something. So you attach it to your shopping cart. And you might find that you paying less money is getting you more results, people purchasing things, or people filling out a form online. It could be anything. This does not need to be selling. But it's a way for you to dabble and pay for advertising on a very small scale or on a very large scale, but do it very intelligently. Integrated communications. My background is public relations, media relations, and technology. And what I found is that if you look at this formula, 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 54. What does that mean? You're going to get exponentially higher results if you have an integrated communications campaign. So remember we talked about the press release. If you actually did one item when your press department was sending out a press release, that could help your website dramatically, okay? But there's a number of other things to think about when you think about integrated communications. We think about search engine optimization. We think about search engine marketing, paying for the advertising, email marketing, newsletters, traditional advertising. Do you put links to your online advertising? What are they linking to? And public relations. If you do a media interview and someone is interviewing you on television, most likely there's going to be an online article about that. Contact them afterwards and say, hey, please link to the site. Here's one example at a previous company that I used to work for. I had created a software called Know Your Stuff, and it was a free home inventory software so that people can make a home inventory before a disaster. This way they can file a claim quicker when a disaster strikes, and they have all of that information, right? So what would happen? Go on television, put out a press release, link to it, okay? Lots of links to that website. A lot of television interviews. You'll see one here, ABC7. That television interview links to that site, okay? Here's another example, Do-It-Yourself Network. I had gone HGTV and DIY and talked about the software on an episode. They also linked to the site. Susie Orman also had linked to the site. Okay? So what happened then? Not only now, I knew this was a separate domain name that I was going to maintain, and I did want to make powerful. So what happened? If you look in the search engine results after that campaign, Know Your Stuff came up #1 when you type in the word home inventory, and #3 was the website for the Insurance Information Institute. Both web properties that I manage, both of them in the top of the search engines, because traditional public relations works, and it could be extremely powerful. Reputation management, when we talk about SEO, many times we talk about reputation management, and I've been contacted a number of times by people. One time I was contacted by someone from the Girl Scouts of America. And what happened was, this was many years ago, when you typed in Girl Scouts of America into YouTube, you were getting some not so nice stuff in the YouTube results. So they said, well, what can we do? You know, what can we do to fix this and take them down? And the first question I asked was, how many videos do you have posted on YouTube? And they said, well, we don't have anything posted on YouTube. I said, well, how many videos do you have in stock that you've used throughout the years in the Girl Scouts of America? And they said, well, we have hundreds or thousands. I said, post them all. The best way for reputation management is to dilute the other content, which will be more powerful than the other content that you don't want. So they did that, and you can see in the search engine results that it's a lot of the information from the Girl Scouts of America. Also, with corporate hate sites, we have a paper on our website right now that you can look at that analyzes corporate hate sites and, you know, how to take them down legally if possible. And sometimes it's not. But the general premise is if they're making money from it, you could probably take them down. Or if it all depends on the content, you need to speak to a lawyer on that. But you can see some case studies on our website, newmedia.org, if you click on corporate hate sites. But you'll see that there are many corporate hate sites out there. So, you know, what can you do? One of the things you can do, look at this. Remember I told you about going to Whois to see, you know, how long the domain name has been around? Well, you can also see who owns the domain name, right? So what I did here was I looked up GoogleSucks.com. Who do you think owns GoogleSucks.com? Google owns it, and they don't even hide it. Okay? Many companies out there go and buy all the possible names that they can that could be used for corporate hate sites. And that's what you should do too. Okay, and here's the paper on our website right here for corporate hate sites that you can download. So at this time, on the right-hand side of your screen, what I'd like to do is, if you'll see a little box for asking questions. If anyone has any questions, we have a few minutes now. I'd like you to type them in, and I'd be more than happy to answer them. And if we don't get to all of them during this call, then I'd be more than happy to answer them after this call. So I'll just give it a few moments for any questions to come in.
John, is there some way that you can keep this report information private? You know, you've given us a lot of valuable tips as to how to find out about how many have been, you know, hit the site and so forth. How do I keep that out of the hands of other people?
Oh, well, I mean, it's private. You have a login and password into Google. It's a good question. You have a login and password into Google, and only you can get in to see that information. So, you know, that's where your privacy comes in. And also, I mean, Google Analytics isn't the only form of web analytics. There's plenty of softwares out there. Many of the companies that are on this call right now probably have different web analytics software out there, and that's usually under a login and password. And if it's not, it really should be. We have a question that came. We just had a question that came in to the site, and it says, "Hi, for meta tags, do I have to do it for each page or just the home page?" Well, at the very minimum, you should do it for the home page. Okay, but if you can, most content management systems will allow you to edit the meta tags for each page, and you can do it without going into the code. But when you're thinking about meta tags, so let's say we had a page on luxury pens, then what your meta tag, especially your meta keywords, should reflect are keywords relevant to luxury pens for that page. So the best thing to do is to do it for each page. But at the very minimum, you have some sites out there, if you look in Google, and you'll look at the search results, and it'll say, we'll just make it up, newmedia.org, and underneath in the description it says, designed by XYZ company. Well, that's not good. You need to add the content. You need to add your meta description so that it shows.